Hey, Keith here for Am I Rich? And boy, we have another great stock for you, yes. Well, maybe. Anyways, today is KB Homes, and KB Homes is under the ticker symbol KBH. It is, as the name suggests, a home building company, and the home building company is in the United States. And what do? They basically buy big areas and build big communities with individual homes in those communities. That's their main thing. They might do a little bit of others construction, but that's their main business. So I think the housing building business is fairly straightforward, so I won't describe too much more. Now, as of late, their housing stock has dropped a little bit, and since October into November, it's dropped since then, and so it did do a little bit of a rebound like every stock did in January, but this is a potential buy time, I think, and that's why I'm bringing this stock up. Now, its current price is at $22.81. That gives it a PE ratio of 14.4, which typically the market, I would say, would be around 18 to 22 for PE ratios, so this is somewhat cheap. It has a forward PE ratio of 9.1, at least estimate, which suggests they're still growing, and a price to book ratio at 1.1, which is very low for most companies. I suppose this could have some risk to it if you were to look at, say, like if housing prices crashed, then a lot of their assets would be worth a lot less, and so that, I guess, is the big worry about it. But generally speaking, if house prices were to stay very stable or even close to what they are, 1.1 is very cheap for most companies. The dividend is nothing exciting. It is 0.4%, and it's not growing at any amazing rate. The 5-year growth for this company, though, is absolutely outstanding. The last 5 years, it's been growing, actually maybe more than 5 years, but it's been growing at an annual rate of 32.6%, which is, it's not quite Tesla, but it is an amazing growth story. I mean, this company is really growing fast. And now that doesn't mean it's going to continue growing, but it has been growing, and I think that's one big positive for KB Homes. So, why is this stock cheap? Well, like I mentioned, it is a little bit cheaper because of the pressure in the market, and also everybody in the housing market has been kind of giving lower guidances on house buildings or revenue coming in from house construction, and so people are worried that the market's slowing down, and that could lead to a big decline in the homes. So that has dropped their price significantly. I think it dropped like 17% at one point, like within a few days in November, and then it dropped in December even more. It's come back up since then, and it's a few percent above where it was in the end of November, but it's still not as high as it has been. My positive thesis on this is that the housing industry might be slowing down slightly in the United States, but generally unemployment is still very low, and that means people still have money to purchase houses, and I don't know that lending practices are as bad as they used to be. So, and housing prices, I think, in the United States are still very reasonable, so I don't think we're at a point where housing is going to collapse entirely like it did in 2008, 2009 kind of time. So that's one positive. It might be a slight slowdown, but I don't know that it's going to be as bad. So there might be a little bit more pessimism baked into the price. This company has been growing very well. So even if they had a slowdown, I still see this company, with very little growth, still being valued probably closer to the $30 mark, maybe a little bit less, if you want to build in some safety. But right now at 22, I see it as a very decent potential buy. So yeah, positive story is people are still going to buy homes. They're in the middle class price range, and so many people have to go to these homes, and if they've been able to get a strategy that makes money doing this on the large scale across the country, then even if where I go, if I go to like any of the main house builders in my area, the very expensive ones, they have really good quality, but they're expensive. And then there's the range where people can actually afford, and you might not get the product you exactly want, but you can afford it, and that's the reason you go to them. And they do a good enough job to keep customers coming. And so that's something I see this as a stable company for the long term. Also, it has repositioned their finances, especially after the crash before. So I think they're in a very decent position. Their cash flow is usually enough to cover like their 1 year current liabilities. They don't have anything crazy on the books. I mean, obviously the housing prices can crash, but we've seen housing prices crash in 2009, and then they did rebound. I mean, it took time, but they did rebound. So I kind of see KB Homes right now as likely to go up, but I suppose there are some risks. And so what are the risks? Well, obviously, if the housing market does crash, maybe I'm totally wrong, and maybe everybody in the United States has 5 mortgages and works just at McDonald's. I don't know. But I kind of think it's not going to be that bad. And now that spring's coming, you're probably going to see things pick up a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. But I suppose the other negative side would be if the market or the economy slows down as well, then people's jobs might go down. It could be a recession. In those cases, house prices will struggle, and KB Homes will also struggle. So there are significant downside risks, but personally I think this is likely going to go up in the next 3 months or so in its stock price. I could be wrong, but I'm kind of thinking it will go up in the next 3 months to 6 months at least. That said, and after that, well, it's hard to say because there are quite a variety of positives and negatives. I think probably there's a decent chance it'll go okay till 2020, but we'll have to wait and see about that. Personally, I don't live in the United States, so it's a little bit hard for me to get a total grasp of this company. So it would be nice if somebody had feedback. What do you guys think of KB Homes? Are they an absolutely horrible company or a decent company? Their product I've seen reviews and people complain about their houses, but I think that's, like I mentioned, even here, if you're going to the middle class range prices for housing, typically you're getting a little bit worse quality than you would if you had twice the money to put into a house. But that's kind of to be expected. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm going to leave it. I'd love to know your opinion. Feel free to comment in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.